this note. So here in each picture I will have the genuine note on top, the original note, the visual on top, and UV illuminated note at the bottom. You can see that some of these, the 100 here, and it basically has a lion and 100, and those lions are faintly visible even in the visual note. This was not the case later, but in these early notes the UV printing was little bit visible. At the back of that note you had the micro printing coming in UV and making up the note. The next note sent is after 1972, May 22nd. So that note happens to be the only one that has government, Central Bank of, it's Sri Lanka government. Here after May 1972, the name of the criteria said Sri Lanka Andua rather than Lanka Andua after 72. So there is something different in those notes. And here, at this position, the Sri is not there in the older note. It said Lanka Andua when we put Karnataka and Sri Lanka instead it be just Lanka in the previous note. So that had the 50. Instead of lions on the other side, it had 650, 50 written 6 times over, and it had the left-hand side, which was the same as the 100 rupee note. The 1974 date, there is a change in the UV printing, and they added the signature, serial number, and the date also in UV printing. So if you are considering a typeset, this becomes actually a different type to the previous one. Visually they look the same, but as a typeset, this becomes a different note, different type.
The same date?
No, different date. Let me go back. So this is 72 December, and the next day 74 August 27. These things, and August 27, that's the date, and then the back of the note basically highlights the tea, Ceylon tea plantations are being shown on the back of that note. This is the 100 rupee again on that, getting the signature coming in.
No, but the lion.
Is this also mentioned in catalogs?
No, I mean the details about the ultraviolet printing is not mentioned in any catalog. I mean I have now put it all on my website. And it's a very important thing, a part of, I think, and it's very interesting that we have much more colorful ultraviolet printing than many other countries. I have not looked at the old other countries, but the modern other countries are very dull in comparison. So this again had the same ultraviolet thing, 75. Okay. Then in the same date, 1974, August 27, we started getting the lower denominations of 2 rupees, 5 rupees and 10 rupees also getting ultraviolet printing. And it's interesting to note that the 74 July date does not have any ultraviolet. So there is a strict changeover from no ultraviolet printing on the low denominations to ultraviolet printing and including the date. So this is the 5 rupee, which has again the dates going to date signatures and serial numbers in ultraviolet. In the back of the note, not very spectacular. The 10 rupee note, here the serial number is fairly prominent. The back is very dull, nothing exciting about it. 2 rupees, bit more detail. Fairly not intense. Okay, then what happened in 1977 when the UMP government came into power? it basically threw out Banda from the note, and it was replaced with the armorial ensign of the Republic, which had been adopted in 72. And you get these notes. The UV printing stayed the same. It did not change, except for the central highlighting. The 100 rupees, again, similar to previously. I'm sorry, this projector is not very good, so the images are not as good. If you go to my website, you will see far better images coming up. This is the Flora and Fauna series. Now you basically have no denomination coming up. You just have 6 lions of different sizes coming up. Back has hardly any UV printing at all in the 2 rupees. Again, here now we have 6 lions in different locations. The 5 rupees is quite pretty. It is nice that the flying squirrel has been highlighted in the ultraviolet. The 10 rupees is also again, now you have only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe there is a 6th one which has erased. I must take a look carefully. Yeah. But the back of it is just exquisite. I think this is one of the prettiest ultraviolet images of any of our currency notes. And I think what is depicted on the upper right hand side is a total eclipse of the sun, with the rays corona being displayed, and the sort of what you might see during an eclipse. So it's quite an interesting composition of a currency note, and the whole note has been changed and included with ultraviolet printing. Somebody had a lot of patience to do this in detail. 20 rupees, not particularly exciting, just lions, few lions. Back of it has the bird, just the bird. I don't know how there is such a big difference in the amount of detailed work. Maybe it was given to 6 different artists to do the back, and some guys were lazy and some guys were very industrious in making a full note. So I don't know, because it's quite different. The 50 rupees has only not much in front, but the back there it is quite nice. I think it has these rare, I think these are some rare fowl which are put on the note that has a bit more detail on the back at the bottom. The 100 rupees has again 4 lions I can see. This projection is really bad. I mean, you really have to look at it on the website. And the back basically has a band highlighting the bird, woodpecker, on this note. So that is
It's not a woodpecker.
what's that?
It's not a woodpecker.
I don't think
No,
it's a barbet.
Is it?
That's
It's a barbet. Not a barbet. Those all are endemic species.
All those notes are basically endemic. Then 1981 basically brought in the 500 rupees 1,000 notes, and it's very interesting that the 1,000 rupee note at that time it was around 20 rupees to the US dollar. So it was basically a $50 note, which is like 8,000 rupees now. It's more than now 5,000 rupees. Fairly dull, 2 lions on the front, nothing spectacular. But the back has a beautiful, the peacock is very nicely drawn and illuminated in ultraviolet. So that's one of the beautiful. Second, I think of there's about 3 beautiful notes. The second of the beautiful notes, which have a beautiful peacock at the back, nicely drawn. I can't still understand why each of these notes have a different level of complexity to the back. The 500 rupee note basically has the signatures there. I mean, it can't be seen clearly here, but it's on the note. And back is not bad. It has the, I think, Abhyagiri, I'm not sure, Abhyagiri or Jetavana, and ring around the watermark label. Okay, so 1982 brought in a lot of notes, change again. 1979 notes were not issued again. And there a much more different and prominent watermark was introduced, which is a big lion, very prominent, and the denomination in the center, highlighting the design below. Back also some decoration, some of the motifs along the border has been decorated. Front line in orange, again same format. And this is 1985 Central Bank of Ceylon. The Ceylon Central Bank became Central Bank of Sri Lanka in 1986. So all the notes before 1985 has Central Bank of Ceylon, and after that it changes to Central Bank of Sri Lanka. So 1986 saw the change in the name, but the name Central Bank of Sri Lanka was used in Sinhala all the way from 1956. There was a slight redesign, a change in the dam, and change in some of the colors of the ultraviolet printing. They were using various colors. This particular date, 88/11/29, all 3 notes, some of them uncirculated, have very bad printing. I have no idea why. I'd like to get comments from other members who have that particular note, because I think that note is, the printing run must have been bad. Back of the 10 rupee note is some leaves, and I think this is this diagram is, I'm not sure which one it is. It's speaking of
Calendar.
Huh?
Calendar.
What?
Calendar.
Calendar. So there was not much difference between the two, the Central Bank of Ceylon and the Central Bank of Sri Lanka notes. This is the 20 rupee, again a lion and 20. And the color changes after 1988. So there is a lot of color variations in the ultraviolet printing. Oops, sorry. That's the 20, and this is I think Tuparama, right? Tuparama actually has come in quite a lot of our currency notes, including the 5 rupee during the war, Victoria during the war. Not much change. Then the 50 rupee. There again. So the quality of printing was not really great. The back of the 50 rupee is a bit detailed, has a quite fair amount of halo around the watermark, radials around the watermark. And that's a bit prettier after it then became Central Bank of Sri Lanka. The 100 rupee, again with the line, color changing. The back had the Brunei University with the ultraviolet around it, and it's quite interesting that for these notes between This is not Parliament. This is
No, it's Parliament.
India.
It's written as Parliament.
University. This is Parliament. Yes, the next one is Parliament.
It
This
is
is
under
Parliament.
water.
This is Parliament, right? The next one is the one that is in the university. But it is very interesting that in these notes, what it is given in both Sinhala, Tamil and English. In the modern notes, it's only in English. And so was the 1979 notes, where it was only in English. And the older ones, of course, also it was in English. This is the only time that they put it in all three languages. Of course, there's a bit more color to it. This is the 500 rupee note. Changing color. That's a bad thing. And the back of it, not much different. 1000 rupee. With the 1000 in the middle. And there you get the peacock, which was there in the 1000 rupee note previously, and the University of Brunei buildings. Very interestingly, I have noticed that this note is still called the Monera note. And in Parliament, they were making long stories about the 1000 rupee note and about the so many Monera notes were given to by various politicians. I mean, they have not changed it to the 5,000. They're still talking about the Monera note in quite terminology, I guess, because it lasted a fairly long period where we had a peacock in the back of our 1000 rupee note, which was the highest denomination. So 1991 came around, and you got a complete change in the design of the in the notes. You got the 10 rupee note. Now in 1991 notes, there was a major change in 1995. So there is a big difference between the 91 to 94 notes to the notes after 95. And that difference is the increased UV printing that you see, where the whole of the moonstone has been thing. So even the little 10, only time that the little 10, the square of the 10 had to move to make room for the putting the whole moonstone in color. So normally the 10s and all remained in one location. I don't know whether any of these the 10s and all are used by these automated machine, like the computer, the ATMs, in the recognition process of the currency notes. I don't know. That's something I'd like to know.
Karan, is that a moonstone or something?
I think that's a moonstone. I don't know. It's not the full moonstone.
No,
It is
that's carrying the
maybe a Sesata. I don't know.
No, is that drawing inside?
Just to the
You can't call it a moonstone.
The back had basically the flowers and the stalk has been painted ultraviolet. Then the 20 rupee note, fairly dull, nothing exceptional at the back. Again, but after 95, you get the full thing around the note. Back has very interestingly now the fish, divided fish on the top, where one side of the fish is on one side and the other side on the other. That also has been highlighted in ultraviolet, as well as the background sky in the two fishermen. 50 rupees. But here they have not gone, I guess they got bored in decorating the things, so the 50 rupees is just that blob in ultraviolet printing, not as elaborate as the 10 rupee and the 20 rupee. But the back, they have got the broken, divided butterfly in ultraviolet. The 100 rupee again in 91, there was a change in color there, and then after 95, you get the UV bright. The back, of course, has two colors. It's not clearly visible in this. One is brown and one is orange, but it's not showing well on the screen. And there you get a fairly nice sky behind the superior quite drawn quite nicely with the ultraviolet. And the leaves of the divided flower. So each one of these has a divided logo, and this is the 500, nothing much in front. And the 500 of course had a change in the amount of the thickness of the stripe, a security strip, and a change in what it looked like. The back of it basically has UV divided, there's a kingfisher there, which is also divided by the two sides, and it has the illuminated behind one and side. Now these notes, nothing has been, no descriptions have been given as to what they have. Here the Raja and the Mahout, there's a long story about this particular Mahout which has gone around social media, and there's additional square there which has a Gajasingha, and that is also illuminated in ultraviolet. Again, not very elaborate compared to the 10 rupees. I would have thought that they would have done the 10,000 rupees more elaborate, but in this case they did only the 10 rupees which is elaborate. And the back of it, again the monera, and also not as colorful as the previous time. They've just got a band of printing across the paper. But this is the third most beautiful note, I think, which is the 2000 rupee, where they have the Sesata has been beautifully detailed in red, blue, and yellow. Quite very beautiful. I mean, actually, it is. If you really look at it under ultraviolet light, it really glows. It's a beautiful sight. It's very dull compared to what you see under ultraviolet light. That's, I think, the third and the last of the really beautiful ultraviolet images. The back is fairly dull. It's simply a fresco. Then the last of the series is the 1000 and the ushering of thing. Now this was a fairly emergency issue. It was been issued in November 2009 for the end of the war in May. It has a date of the end of the war as the date. But ultraviolet image is very dull. It just has the value in a square, and that's about it. There's nothing else in the front or at the back. So I guess that is because it was done much in a hurry, and this was, I think, printed by Dilaru, and Dilaru didn't even put their name on the note. There's one thing which is very curious, that nobody put their name on the 1979 notes, which are the most beautiful notes that have been ever created. I think it was basically done by Bradbury Wilkinson, but their name was not known. It has been attributed both to Dilaru and Bradbury, but I think it is Bradbury Wilkinson. That has to be confirmed because it does not appear on the note. So these are the modern notes from the 20 rupee, and if you notice, these notes have in addition these small little fibers which are glowing, and that's a part of the paper, or maybe something additional. And those, that is nature of all our current new notes. The serial number is in very bright red under the violet light. Again, 20 rupees. There was a change in the thickness of the note, but it didn't change the ultraviolet qualities. Back has the not as bright, it's just a very dull highlight of the dances. 50 rupees. Again, not much difference between the two versions. 50 rupees with fairly dull. 100 rupees again basically a square with the thing and the fiber. Back 500 rupees. You can see that as the denomination increases, the amount of fiber that you find on the note increases. 500 rupees, back 1000 rupees. Now you are getting quite a lot of fiber coming on the note. So back then, here for the first time you can see the security strip becomes very prominent in Altavada in the back.
How the fibers are for the blind people, no?
No, I don't think you feel them. Even the US currency notes has this fiber. It's a special type of luminescent fiber, but actually I have a paper. The paper did not seem to have that fiber.
How does the blind man?
No. It's not for blind people. The blind people is those tactile, those dots.
Those are the brails.
Yeah, those are raised. Those are for the blind people. Are those dots, and there the number of dots increases with the denomination. I don't know what the tactile bars are for. What those bars are for, but and 5000 has this additional the two stripes on the two sides. All the notes they have two green bars on the two sides with drawing on the ultraviolet. I don't know whether this is always 15 lines. I can't understand how it can be, what it's used for. Okay, then there was two other currency notes. One was the Chogam note